Welcome to Hope Academy. My name is Mr. O, and today I'm going to be going over specifically numbers 30 through 32. I do want to side note this by stating that starting after number 30 is a free response portion, and so I'm going to go ahead and do the normal standard thing. What I usually do is that in the beginning, I'm going to do the question real quick just to show you that it's possible to do these questions real quick, and then I'm going to explain in depth as to how I was able to get to the answer. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started, which is number 30, which is going to be a multiple choice question. So number 30, the following is an coordinates. I can't be identified as constant. Okay, so for number 30, the answer is D. And this is how I was able to get to the answer so quickly. So I noticed that the question is asking me that I need to be able to identify the vertex formula. So it's not asking me whether or not I could factor this question out. It's not asking me whether or not I could, create things or change things around. It's asking me basically for vertex formula. So vertex formula usually is going to be in this format: ax minus h squared plus k equals to y. And usually in this format, that's the only way I could get to this answer. But so A and B automatically are ruled out because they're factored values. They might be actually correct connecting back to this, but that's not what the question is asking for, because the way you could find vertex based on this vertex formula is that it's going to represent H and K. H and K is your vertex values from this. So A and B do not make sense at all. C, the problem with C is that it's not in the correct format, because when we talk about A right here, A has to be a constant value. It's what we call our amplitude. And so because this has to be a constant value, I knew C was not going to be the case. And so D has to be the case. This tells me right off that my coordinates for the amplitude is going to be at 1, -16, which actually makes sense based on the graph that is provided up here. And thus how I was able to get to the final answer, D. And that concludes my explanation for number 30. So just to continue on, I do want to note that on the free response questions for the actual SAT, they will provide this explanation right here, which tells you how to bubble it. Do not waste your time on this. Just make sure you read it yourself along the way. Just make sure to zoom through it. Just skip it, whatever not. Do not waste your time on this. But just be aware that's what the purpose of that is. And I'm going to go ahead and get on to number 31. So number 31. So, okay. So my final answer for number 31 is 6. So the final answer, free response. And in the bubble grid, I'm able to bubble in 6. But I'm going to explain to you how I was able to get to this answer so quickly. So there's actually multiple answers for number 31. The question basically mentions, this is a rates-based question, a rate question. And the purpose of this question is that it's supposed to be asking you that basically he has 12 dozen ears of corn and at most 18. And he says that he could do per hour. And basically after 72, how many hours does it take for him to get to 72? So because it takes him 12 to 18 possible per hour, what I just did was 72 divided by 12, because that's his lowest possible rate, which is 6. And if I wanted to explain to you more as to where his possible range is, his limitation is going to be at from 72 divided by 18. It's going to be between 4 to 6, because it states that he could husk at least 12 dozen to 18 dozen. And so it's going to be between 4 to 6. Any answer between that is correct. I personally just found 6. If you found 4, 5, whatever not, that works too. Just make sure you make sure you bubble it in correctly when you do that. Okay, and so that concludes my explanation for number 31. So for number 32, okay, so the post, wait. Okay. Okay. So my final answer for this question is 107. And now I'm going to go ahead and explain to you how I was able to get to this answer. So the question states this. It states that basically it's covering a wooden bridge in Pennsylvania. It's going to be 6,000 pounds. That's the total weight of this truck. That's the limitation of the weight. And it says that the combined weight It says that he could have boxes that are 14, that X number of boxes are each 14 pounds. So 14X represents the number of possible boxes times, the weight of each of those boxes. And it also states that it's going to be 4,500 pounds for the truck itself and the driver. And it asks me what is the minimum number of X, aka this is the minimum number that's possible for us to fit it. And so in a sense, what the equation that you should have gotten was 14X plus 4,500 equals to 6,000. And so this equation will let you know how to sustain the limitation, aka what is the number of boxes possible before we get overweight, because it asks that was the maximum possible value. And so this is how we're going to solve it. We're going to subtract 4,500. So a lot of this I did mental math this. It was just practice. But you don't need to do that. You could actually solve this out perfectly fine if you do this. And that's where I got the 1,500 divided by 14. And I get something like x equals to 107.14. But it's asking what's the maximum number of boxes. On the grid also, it will not fit if you put 107.1 because there's only 4 spaces available on the grid. But that being stated, even if it was possible, you shouldn't be writing 107.14. It's actually asking for boxes, and boxes, you're not going to be putting a 0.14 amount of boxes. The highest maximum possible boxes possible is going to be the round down value of this, because you don't want more than that, or it's going to be overweight and then it's going to cause trouble. And so my final answer for this is going to be technically 107, and that's how I was able to get to the answer for this question. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm going to continue to make more videos like this, so please do like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we can continue to make content like this. I hope you have a wonderful day.